works for us. And then we can ask, what works for you, and it's kind of like that Venn diagram with the circles. It's like, where's the overlap, like what works for both of us, not this works for me and this doesn't work for you, or this works entirely for you and not for me. Like, where's the overlap? How can we have this kind of harmony in our relationship, whether it's a friend, family member, roommate, co-worker, client, romantic partner, person you're dating, whoever it is. That's a little bit about what it can look like when we've had the experience of being the invisible child, and how it can show up in our relationships, and some of the tactics we can use to reverse that. I'll go a little bit more into the tactics and the healing side as well in a moment, because it's always inner work too, because you can follow that tactic that I said, but if you don't feel worthy of having your needs met, it's not going to do a shite of good, So the experience of being the invisible child, it is this lived experience of being unseen on a really deep level. So that can be either your family home was, really chaotic. There was somebody who was unwell. There was someone who was alcoholic. There was someone who was narcissistic. There was someone who maybe mentally and emotionally wasn't the most stable. And so they became the focal point. And as a result, nobody was really saying to you, hey, are you all right? What do you need? Are you hungry? How do you feel? Do you need a hug? Like, there was none of that, because there was like this real metaphorical, emotional or physical thunderstorm in the household, and therefore you were not really being seen. I'm kind of getting this image of a little girl who was kind of there. Speaking of children, my kid's right there. I adopted him in Canada, and I brought him over with me. Hey Mowgli, do you want to say hello to people? No, he's just going to walk through, do something. I was getting this image of this little girl who was in a home, and she was like really still, standing really still, and there's like all this like kind of really like tornado-like activity around her, and she's just kind of like looking and watching. That's a little bit what it's like to be the invisible child, is you're looking at all this stuff going on around you, and no one's really looking at you, no one's really seeing you. And so it develops this belief that other people's needs take precedent over your own, because that's what you experienced when you were small. And I've mentioned this before in video trainings, but I'll bring it here again as well. We form 95% of our subconscious beliefs before the age of 6. So we are building up an idea of who we are in the world, who we are as a child, who we're going to become as an adult, who we are as a person, who we are as a human, who we are in relation to other people, how relationships are for us, even down to what we get to have, what we get to experience, what's possible for us in our careers, how much money we get to make, what our upper limits are in terms of happiness, joy, abundance, love, you name it. It's all formed. 95% of it is formed before the age of 6. It's great if we're raised in a home where everything's rosy and we have parents who have this idea of unlimited potential, and they let us know that our potential is unlimited and we can create whatever we want if we choose to, and we go after it and we work for it and we allow things to come to us, and we work with others, and we're taught how to do that. Many of us didn't have that experience, and you know what, that's okay. It's okay. We reach a point where we work through the stages of grief, if you will, of, anger, denial, bargaining, acceptance, all of that. And we realize that it is what it is. It was what it was. So, would we be further along if that hadn't happened? Sure. But we're here now. And actually what it's going to get to do is it's going to get to enrich our experience, and it's going to give us even deeper compassion, even deeper empathy, even deeper understanding of others. And it's no accident. It's no accident. Our soul is had these lessons to learn, and so that we can embody those lessons and really help others with that in whatever capacity you choose to help them. It doesn't mean you have to become a coach, but you can be a leader in your community with this information. These not information, it's wisdom. It's like you have the information, you have the lived experience, and it kind of marinates inside internally, and it becomes wisdom. So it's not that it's all for nothing. I know sometimes when we're in it, it can feel like suffering, but it's really not suffering, because it becomes these lessons, and then we get to use that in a way that we wouldn't have been able to had we not been through it. So it's not like, oh, why did I go through all this senseless pain and suffering? It's more like that was the vehicle and the way, but it wasn't the why. The why was the why was the lesson. The lesson, it was like the experience, the lesson, and then the wisdom. The wisdom is the point. The wisdom was the reason, and all the other stuff is like, it's a means to an end that had to happen so we could get to this place. Bit of a tangent, bit of an offshoot, but that's really important. It's not senseless, it's meaningful, and yeah, we get to do something really, really good with that. So if we were in that home then and that was happening, it goes into our subconscious, and it stays in our subconscious until we start doing this work, and we get to look at this and unpick it and go, oh, I didn't even know I believed that thing, because of course it becomes a subconscious belief. It goes into our subconscious. We don't even know that we were believing that other people's needs are more important, and we might even articulate and say, well, no, my needs are important, but there's still that subconscious thing there. And then you unpick it and you go, oh, I experienced this, this, and this, and it made me believe this, and now I know that. I'm going to choose consciously to overwrite that belief, and we're going to go through how to do that in a moment. Another way of being the invisible child is being the high achieving child.